During the same era when the Rolling Stones were skyrocketing to fame, there was another band that was taking the world by storm, the Beatles. Little did they know that their intertwined destinies would shape the course of music history. It all began when the Beatles' manager took on the daunting task of managing the Rolling Stones. He started out trying to make the Rolling Stones in the image of the Beatles but quickly discovered that this wasn't going to work, and instead decided to go in the exact opposite direction, making the Rolling Stones a rebellious, unkempt group of bad boys, while the Beatles continued to be the poster children of positive rock and roll. This decision led the two bands down contrasting paths. While the Beatles were adored by the masses and played for the Queen at Buckingham Palace, the Rolling Stones made headlines due to their daring lifestyle and unabashed use of drugs. It was a tale of two bands, each paving their own distinct way through the ever-evolving world of rock and roll. In a later interview, bassist Wyman confided that he didn't believe that Oldham did it on purpose, but rather that the Rolling Stones simply never fit into the mold society had in mind for bands at the time. The supposed rivalry between the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, largely cooked up by the media as a way of putting the two legendary groups against each other, riling up their fan bases and stoking album sales. In reality, the two legendary bands were quite friendly.
Are your hosts for this evening, the Rolling Stones?
Mick Jagger even inducted the Beatles at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1988, and to this day, McCartney reportedly sends Richards a case of beer every Christmas. But despite the fact that the media exaggerated the rivalry between both bands, their members occasionally played along with good-natured jabs in interviews. In an interview, Paul McCartney jokingly labeled the Rolling Stones a blues cover band. He and Mick Jagger have half-jokingly traded barbs over debating whose band is superior, in recent years. Surprisingly, amidst this seeming rivalry, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones shared a deep friendship, and the second single released by the band, I Wanna Be Your Man, was written by none other than John Lennon and Paul McCartney and gifted to the Stones during a studio visit. With this song and their first single, the Rolling Stones hit #1 on the UK charts for the very first time. That same year, they sealed the deal with their first record contract deal with Decca.
And now your hosts for this evening, the Rolling Stones.
We had a lot of rivalry in those early years and a little bit of friction, but we always ended up friends, because they were some of the greatest times of our lives, and I'm really proud to be the one that leads them into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.